Ike Turner was a famous musician who made important contributions to rock and roll. However, his life was full of sadness and mistakes. What happened? Did he feel bad about what he did? The ending of Ike Turner will shock you. Watch the movie below to learn more about Ike Turner's exciting life. Early life of Ike Turner. Ike Turner was born on November 5, 1931, in Clarksdale, Mississippi. He was one of the most famous musicians in the United States in the early 1900s. Ike grew up in a poor home and first heard music when he sang in church. Blues and gospel music had a big impact on him. He showed that he was naturally good at music by playing the piano and guitar very well when he was very young. Ike loved music, but he didn't just love playing, but also included trying out and improving new ways to record. Between 1950 and 1955, Ike joined the Kings of Rhythm and quickly became an important part of the group. Because of his skill and creativity, the Kings of Rhythm became one of Memphis's most well-known bands. Ike was one of the first people in the group to use advanced recording methods, which let them make good recordings. He also got better at making music at this point, and he would continue to do well in this area throughout his career. Ike Turner and the Kings of Rhythm made the hit song, Rocket 88, in 1951. This song is known as one of the first rock and roll songs ever written. Rocket 88 is usually seen as one of the first rock and roll songs, even though the recording didn't become a big hit right away. A big turning point in Ike's career in the music business at the time. Because of this, Ike Turner is seen as one of the founders of rock and roll, even though he wasn't well known at the time. Meeting Anna Mae Bullock, who would become Tina Turner, was one of the most important events in Ike Turner's life. In the late 1950s, Tina was a young singer who wasn't well known, but Ike saw that she had hidden musical ability. When she sang in a St. Louis club, Ike was quickly drawn to Tina's strong voice when she was singing in a local band. Ike thought Tina's voice was strong and special, so he asked her to join the Kings of Rhythm. This choice would change their lives in many ways. Ike not only became Tina's boss after she joined the group, but he also helped style and shape her look. Ike knew how to make Tina look great on stage, which helped her become one of the most famous female singers of the time. But their work together wasn't just about music. Ike fell in love with Tina, which made their personal relationship more difficult. They later became a famous couple in the music business. The Ike and Tina Turner Revue became one of the most well-known groups of the 1960s very quickly. The mix of Ike's musical skills and Tina's high energy, explosive performances was a huge hit. One of their best shows was in clubs, where Tina often mesmerized the crowd with her powerful and charming dances and songs. The group left a big mark on the American music scene, with Ike writing the songs and Tina being the face. Ike and Tina Turner Revue released many hit songs after that, including Proud Mary, River Deep, Mountain High, and many more. These songs helped Tina Turner become famous all over the world. Ike had a lot of power over Tina's work and personal life, so the relationship wasn't all roses. It was also very unstable. Ike and Tina Turner's success was one of the most groundbreaking and important groups of the 1960s and 1970s. They were known for their upbeat songs and lively stage shows. When Ike Turner and Tina Turner joined forces, they made the perfect musical duo, with Ike's musical skills and Tina's explosive stage presence. This was the turning point for rock and roll and soul. The group made a big impact on audiences with their lively performances, which led to a new wave of music, and making them one of the most well-known and liked groups at the time. The hit song, Proud Mary, by Ike and Tina Turner Revue was one of their biggest wins. The song was written by John Fogerty of Creedence Clearwater Revival, but Ike and Tina Turner's version was clearly theirs. Their record is a great mix of rock and soul, and Tina Turner steals the show with her electrifying energy. Not only did this cover by Ike and Tina Turner do well on the charts, it also helped prove Tina's singing skills, which made her a worldwide star. The song, River Deep, Mountain High, by Ike and Tina Turner is one of their most famous works. This is one of the best pieces of music from that time, and it was produced by the famous Phil Spector and Full Sound. The song wasn't a big hit in the US at first. It didn't even make it to the top of the charts, but it became a big hit very quickly in the UK. Many people think that this is one of Tina Turner's best songs ever. The version by Ike and Tina Turner is seen as one of the best examples of soul music, and the music business praised the creative way it was put together and methods of creation. It wasn't just musicians and performers that Ike Turner was good at. He was also a good director. Ike combined blues, rock, and soul to make a new sound that few other groups could copy. He understood Tina Turner's skills and how to make her look strong and beautiful on stage. Ike was always coming up with new ways to use the most cutting-edge music production tools of the time to make sure that every song the group made was unique and amazing in its own way. Artists Ike and Tina Turner created a unique style of music that moved people by combining catchy melodies with emotionally charged words. In addition to being great at playing music, their band was also great because Tina Turner's energy and Ike Turner's skill worked so well together to make a catchy and memorable sound. Even though Ike and Tina Turner Revue had a lot of success, their work could not last forever because the music business was changing so quickly in the 1970s. As new musical styles, like disco and electronic music came out, the music market started to change. This made things very hard for the band Ike and Tina Turner, who had to deal with changing audience tastes and more competition from new acts. This made the band less famous over time. Along with their work problems, Ike and Tina started having personal issues and relationship issues, which harmed both the team's work and its ability to work together. Even though Ike and Tina Turner were both successful musicians, their relationship was dark and violent. Behind the shine of their concerts and successful singing careers, Ike and Tina's relationship was always hard. Tina Turner was in a lot of pain and stress because her husband, Ike Turner, was abusive and also a very controlling boss who meddled in all parts of her life and work. It was common for Ike to hurt Tina physically and mentally. Not only did the attacks hurt Tina physically, they also had a big effect on her mental health. As Tina Turner wrote in her famous book, I, Tina, she opened up about how bad her years with Ike were. She talked about the terrible beatings Ike gave her, including one time when he hit her so hard she couldn't walk. She also talked about how Ike's drug and drink use made it harder for him to control his behavior, which made him more violent. Ike not only abused Tina, but he also controlled everything she did, from her music business to the choices she made in her personal life. Tina couldn't do anything without Ike's permission or help. Tina was totally dependent on Ike in every part of her life. He managed her not only financially but also socially. She couldn't get out of the relationship that was making her feel stressed and afraid because she had no freedom or safety. This unhealthy relationship not only hurt Tina's life, but it also hurt their jobs. It was hard for Ike to keep up his image as a pop star, and it showed in their performances and relationships with the band members. Both Ike and Tina felt the pressure, and it showed in their shows with the Ike and Tina Turner Revue. Their shows, which were known for being full of life and energy, got old and lackluster over time, which made the group less appealing. Tina did not last forever. After being abused and going through a lot of mental pain for years, Tina made the dangerous choice to leave Ike in 1976. She had to go through a lot of trouble, so she only brought what she could carry and vowed never to look back at Ike again. Making the choice wasn't easy. Not so for Tina. It was a way out of a painful life and a big turning point on her path to finding herself. Tina began from scratch, but she didn't let her past hold her back. Tina's bad relationship with Ike ruined years of her life, but these problems made her stronger. She went from being a victim of abuse to becoming a worldwide music star, showing that she wasn't just a weak victim who could handle big problems. What's Love Got to Do with It? And Private Dancer not only showed how talented Tina was as a musician, but also how strong and resilient she was as a person. After going through a lot to find herself again, she became an example of strength and female freedom. Tina continued to shine on the world stage, but Ike Turner was having problems at work and in his personal life. Ike had a lot of court problems after he and Tina split up, including claims of domestic abuse and money problems. Ike's work slowly went downhill, as he couldn't keep up his old level of popularity and appeal. Ike lost his place in the music business and became less well known because of mistakes he made in the past, like being rude to Tina. Ike's decline became even clearer when he failed to get back to the top of his job and reputation. Ike Turner's fall and addiction. After splitting up with Tina Turner in 1978, Ike Turner had a rough time in his personal and professional life. The 1960s and early 1970s were big years for Ike and Tina Turner, but things were not going as well as they used to. Ike wasn't as popular or powerful as he used to be. Changing musical tastes and the fall of the style he was famous for were two reasons. Because of these changes, it was hard for Ike to keep up his solo business. Ike couldn't get back to where he was before he broke up with Tina. His singing career slowly went downhill, and he lost the popularity he had at the height of the Ike and Tina Turner review. People didn't like the new music projects that Ike tried, but he kept working on them. At the same time, Ike had a lot of money issues. He owed a lot of money and was involved in several lawsuits, some of which involved his property and agreements with past artists. Ike tried to keep up a good reputation in the music business, but his work never got better. One of the main reasons for this decline was Ike's growing addiction to drugs and alcohol, which not only made his problems worse, but also had a huge impact on his music career. He couldn't focus on his work and put out good music because of his addiction, which also got him arrested several times. He was caught for many crimes, such as driving while drunk and getting into fights. These arrests hurt his reputation even more in the public eye and in his field. Ike not only had problems with his business, but he was also sued all the time, mostly for unpaid debts and shady music deals. Because Ike did bad things, he was a controversial figure in the music business. Ike had problems with addiction and was in and out of jail. His personal relationships were also hard because he had hurt people's feelings in the past, especially with Tina. Ike couldn't keep good relationships going, which made him feel even more alone and like he had failed. Ike's fall in both his personal and professional life was partly caused by the bad choices and violent actions he made throughout his life. Ike was stuck in a loop that was hard to get out of because he was poor, addicted, and had ongoing legal issues. He failed in his attempts to get back into the music business or improve his image. Like many other music stars, Ike Turner fell because he had bad habits and couldn't handle his life. What a sad ending and death for Ike Turner. Towards the end of his life, Ike Turner spent a long time trying to make up for his mistakes and accept them. Ike began to understand how bad he was for Tina Turner after years of living with the shadow of his legal problems, drug abuse, and failed relationships. But even though he tried to make things right and say sorry, the hurt was too great and the old wounds were hard to heal. Tina said that she knew Ike had tried to change, but she also said that she couldn't fix her relationship with him. It was too hard for her to forgive Ike for all the hurt and abuse she had been through with him. Even though a lot of time had passed, their friendship never fully recovered. Ike later said he felt bad about what he did and admitted that hurting Tina was one of the worst things he had ever done. Tina forgave Ike in her own way, and they only saw each other a few times in the last few years of Ike's life, but their relationship was never the same. Instead of moving on with her life, Tina became famous around the world through her singing. Ike, on the other hand, had to deal with the bad things he did. He died of a heart attack on December 12, 2007, when he was 76 years old. His death closed a chapter in the history of music. People had mixed feelings about it. Many saw him as a great singer and an icon in the music business, but the bad things that happened in his life could not be ignored. Many people in the music business, especially those who worked with or were inspired by Ike Turner's music, are sad about his death. He was a rock and roll legend. Ike is known as one of the people who helped make rock and roll and soul music possible, and he was a big inspiration to Tina Turner in the beginning of her career. But Ike Turner's death was not without debate and criticism from people who remember the bad things he did in his violent relationship with Tina Turner. Many people think that the way he treated Tina was more important than his songs, and will always be remembered. Ike has been seen as a controversial figure because of the issues in his personal life. He made a lot of important contributions to music, but his past is still remembered. People have never fully accepted Ike Turner's drug and alcohol problems or violent behavior, even though his music business was at its peak. His death continues to spark debate about his work and personality. While Ike Turner was a great musician, the violent things that happened in his personal life have overshadowed the things he did in his work. People still think of Ike Turner as one of the most important people in the music business in the 20th century, even though he had a sad and difficult life. He was one of the first people to play rock and roll and soul music, and his contributions to current music are still well known. The legacy and influence of Ike Turner. Ike Turner was a very talented musician, composer, and producer. His music work included more than just playing music. He was also a well-known producer. Some people think that Rocket 88, one of Ike's famous recordings, was the first rock and roll song. It helped rock and roll reach new heights in the 1950s. Not only that, but Ike Turner was also great at mixing blues and jazz music to make new music. He also made the style of music that many people call the Tina Turner sound. When he worked with Tina Turner, who he found and helped become famous. Ike not only helped Tina with her work, but he also helped her develop her performance style. Songs like Proud Mary, River Deep, Mountain High, and Not Bush City Limits became famous because of Ike. These songs not only set the stage for Ike and Tina Turner's career, but they were also important turning points in Tina Turner's career after they broke up to pursue a single career. Ike Turner is also thought to be one of the first people to use modern methods for making music. He was one of the first singers to make the sounds that made rock and soul unique. His style can be heard in a lot of different types of music today, from funk to R&B. It's clear that Ike Turner had a big impact on music, but his career and reputation have always been controversial. Ike's music career was a big deal in the music business, but his troubled personal life has kept many people from fully recognizing him without thinking about the violent things he did to Tina Turner. It was the rage and abuse in Ike's relationship with Tina that hurt his reputation. Many people in the music business still think of Ike Turner as a pioneer and a rare talent who helped make many important musical advances. Once his private life issue became public, Ike started to heal, trying to change and make up for the mistakes he had made in the past. His problems got worse over time, and he tried to make peace with those he had hurt, but many people still couldn't forgive him for what he had done. Ike understood near the end of his life that the best parts of his music career would always be overshadowed by the bad parts. The great things he did for music, though, he couldn't deny. He was one of the first people to make rock and roll a worldwide success. He also made important contributions to R&B, funk, and soul music. Many people no longer love or admire Ike because of his sad death and personal problems, but there is no doubt that he was one of the most important musicians of the 20th century and left behind a huge body of music. Ike's ways of making music had a big impact on a lot of artists and music producers, and his work is still an important part of the basis for many of the music genres we know today. Ike Turner has been looked at again and again over the years, especially as younger people have learned how important his accomplishments were to music. Even though the bad parts of his life can't be erased, his music will live on in the hearts of music fans and historians forever. What do you think about the music that Ike Turner left behind? Are the things he's done for the music business enough to make people forget about the problems in his personal life? Please tell us what you think in the space below. Please get in touch with us. Also, don't forget to like the video and follow the station to get more cool videos. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next film.